Shabbat Shalom. Can you hear me? What'd you say, Max? What'd you say? Good. Let's see if everything is on. We're on. Whew. So before I start, hi everybody. Welcome. So last week after services, did you see the double rainbow? I took pictures of the double rainbow. I was standing in the backyard with the officer, and I took pictures of the double rainbow. And then the double rainbow, the top rainbow started to disappear, and the bottom rainbow started to get really beautiful and vibrant colors, and it started getting longer. And so I said, look, I have to go so that I can get back to the house for the Zoom, Oneg Shabbat, and I want to get some pictures of the building with the rainbow behind it. I love those. So I drive to the front. I parked in the middle of the driveway. I just stopped in the middle, and it was gorgeous. By the time I got to the front, there was this whole arc. It was just gorgeous. And so I started taking pictures and pictures and pictures of the colors and the rainbow and everything. And then I'm trying to get like the perfect shot with the words maybe in the front of the building and all these things. And I go to step into the grass across the driveway, and I'm not sure what happened. I don't know the last time that you have fallen, but it all went in slow motion, and at some point I'm saying, stop falling, stop falling, stop falling, stop falling, and I didn't stop falling, and I'm like, okay, then fall, but fall gently. I mean, it's grass down there, just fall. It's going to take less energy than stop falling, and I fell. And I hurt. I was sure that I broke my ribs, except I was able to get up. I was able to kind of take a breath. And so I didn't think I broke my ribs. And I'm like, where's the officer when I need him? And I gently get in the car and figure out how to close the door and everything else. And after I'm like already at the intersection with Southfield, that's when he pulled out of the driveway. So... But I've hurt all week. I'm not going to lie. I did get it checked, and I did not break my ribs. But I was here on Sunday, and there was another magnificent double rainbow. Yeah, there was one on Sunday, so I got more pictures, beautiful rainbows. The song, I shouldn't sing it because then, YouTube's going to flag it as I'm breaking copyright or something. I'm always chasing rainbows. That feels like me. I'm always looking for rainbows all day long today. If it would rain briefly, I would say, oh, that sky, that's a rainbow sky. We've got to find a rainbow. And they're like, it's the middle of the day. So can't you see rainbows in the middle of the day? And they say, no, you can only see it at some times and only when the sun is behind you. I'm like, you should have grown up with me. I mean, when I grew up, I could see rainbows any time, day. It didn't matter. Like, what are you talking about? They knew so much about rainbows that it's kind of sad. They don't even bother looking at times when scientifically they don't think they're going to see rainbows. But I saw some magnificent rainbows this week. I took pictures. I have the bruises to prove it. But I did not break any ribs. A few people knew that I got hurt. And I just want to let everybody know, because a few people called to find out if they're okay, if I'm okay, and see what they could do to help. But I'm okay. Every day, I'm finding better ways of moving around. This was really helpful. The first day, I did not realize, I thought sitting was a good idea, but it was. But standing up from sitting was a very bad idea. I didn't know how much of your side is used in standing up from a sitting position. And I have been doing squats for a few years now because of the CRPS, and I'm thinking, I got this. My legs are strong. I can do these squats. And this took over, and I couldn't get up. And I told my brother, one of my brothers is a chiropractor, and he's one of the best diagnosticians I know. And I called him and tried to figure out, just by talking to him, whether or not it was broken or whatever. And he evaluated some of the things he told me. Anyway, he said, this is what you need to do. Max, I don't know if you're going to be able to see me here. But he said It is part of your core, even your side. And so he said, what you do is put your right foot, because it's my left side, put your right foot in front of you when you're ready to get up, and you'll change your center of gravity so that you're using just your right leg while you're getting up and down, and then you're not going to involve this part as much. And so in 1 week, this leg has gotten really, really strong again, and I've been doing that, and I think it helped. I learned that, and we're gonna come to this in a second, breathing is really helpful, and I could take a breath. I've had broken ribs before, and when you break your ribs, you know who your enemies are because they make you laugh, and that hurts a lot. I'm okay. You can make me laugh, and you can still be my friend. Sneezing is not something I look forward to, because it's definitely wounded. It's not broken, but it's sore. But it's at this time. And you can't wrap it up, because if you do, you can get pneumonia, because then you're not breathing very well. So I've learned all these things again. But I've also learned that I can do this, but I can't do it like with other positions, and I can't get the hand to go higher up unless I breathe. And this is where Shabbat comes in. Because if I inhale, my arm is not going any higher than this. But if I exhale, then I can get it to go up. Inhale, exhale, I can get it up higher. So I've learned about the importance of breathing to let your body function, which brings us to Shabbat. This Shabbat we have things we need to do that do not include falling and recuperating. I'm going to tell you 2 jokes before we start, because I didn't want to depress you about telling you bad stories about me hurting. This one has the potential of not being in good taste, so I'm going to preface it with that. Last week, I'm looking for good jokes. I told you that, so I can tell the kids at camp. And last week, I sent them the dinosaur thing, and I haven't gotten any mail back, so I don't know if they liked it or didn't like it. And I didn't send them one about the clock. Did I tell you the one about the clock? What's the best time on the clock? 6:30, hands down. But you have to be old enough to understand that one, because some people have no idea what hands on a clock mean, But I know, so I really liked that one. But I'm looking. These are not some that I'm going to send the kids. The first one was supposedly in a Bible class for little kids, and the question was, who killed Goliath? You know who killed Goliath? So this test said it was kind of like, almost like a hangman, fill in the blanks, and it was blank, blank, VID. And somebody wrote in COVID. So that one was, and on the thing that I saw, it said, see me after class. So I don't know if the teacher was really mad at the kid for saying that, but David killed Goliath, which is actually related to one of the things we're going to be talking about in today's service. We're talking about American Independence Day, which has to do with when people fight back for what they believe in. And that's a recurring theme even in the Torah portion. But this is the other joke I wanted to tell you. I just heard this one, and I think this one is kind of adorable. And it's maybe a true story, because something like this kind of happened in our family to a cousin of mine. Miriam begins to notice that whenever her 5-year-old daughter, Sarah, is asked her name, so Miriam's the mom, whenever her 5-year-old daughter, Sarah, is asked her name, she says, I'm Mrs. Friedman's daughter. Now, some people I know might do that. I'm the rabbi's kid. They may do that. Sometimes you have a reputation by who your child is, and sometimes by who your parent is, but this is the setup. 5-year-old daughter Sarah is asked her name. She says, I'm Mrs. Friedman's daughter. So one day, just before bedtime, Miriam, the mom, says to Sarah, Bobola, because, it means little grandma. Why they call them little grandmas, I don't know, but that's what you say, and there's usually a pinched cheek when it goes with it. Whenever anyone asks you what your name is, you shouldn't say, I'm Mrs. Friedman's daughter. You should proudly say, my name is Sarah. Sarah is such a beautiful name. The Torah even tells us that another lovely Sarah was the wife of Abraham and the mother of Isaac. Okay, Mommy, says Sarah. Later that week, Rabbi is visiting Sarah's class at school, and this rabbi happens to be a guy. I don't know where that possibly existed. It must be an old story. But anyway, that's a joke. As soon as he sees Sarah, he goes over to her and he says, "Hello, aren't you Mrs. Friedman's daughter?" And Sarah says, "I thought I was, but my mommy says I'm not." So I like that, and I didn't want to start a service with the feeling bad about stuff. I wanted you to be able to laugh about some things. Just don't make me laugh, because that hurts. No, just kidding. I wanted to make sure that everybody was in a good mood for this. We're going to be next. And by the way, there are people in this room who I have contacted about the injuries, people you're related to or people yourself. And I spoke with a weaner who was helping me with breathing exercises. And there are a lot of people that I have talked to, and I really appreciate people who've helped. But I wanted to remind you that on Shabbat, one of the most important things we do is breathing. So we leave the stress level. I'll start slowing down. The stress level outside the door. We will start to breathe a little bit better. The intent is, as I said last time, you take a deep breath in with your nose if you can, and exhale calmly through your lips. And I said somewhere along the line, I learned that it's kind of like smelling the soup and cooling it down. And if you're feeling stressed, then you can put your hand on your stomach, and you can feel your stomach inhale and exhale. Because when you're stressed, sometimes you're not letting your air come in. And if you put your hand on your stomach, it also feels a little bit like a hug. So it's a calming, anti-stressing method. So we tried 2 breaths like that. And try again. And let it out. And hopefully you'll keep breathing like that and feeling calmer and calmer. We are going to begin our service on page 82. I want you to feel inspired by this service in ways that remind you about winning independence, standing up for what you believe in. That's going to be in here in places. And our tradition is that you stand up for this prayer. So if you have to use one leg and do it, use one leg and do it. If you have to hold on to something, that's why we put those armrests in here. We were intentional, but we're on page 82. Please join me. These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illumine our uncertain steps. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Sabbath of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Let's do it in English. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the Sabbath lights. Please make sure you say Shabbat Shalom to someone you came in with. Say Shabbat Shalom to someone you didn't come in with. Make sure everybody gets a Shabbat Shalom, no matter how far away we have to say it. Hello back there, everybody in the back row, Shabbat Shalom. You may be seated. Hello back there. We are going to continue by welcoming our angels. We are on page 84. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamla.
Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh, Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh, Baruch Hu.
I want you to listen for how many times you hear words that remind you of what it means to be an American, which are the same words as what it means to be Jewish, as we continue our service in the middle of page 85. If you're watching online, I hope you are able to find where the words are. If you click on the events page, or if you click on the YouTube page, you should be able to, on B'nai Zion's website, you should be able to find service 3. We're on page 85. The synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel. Born of our longing for the living God, it has been to Israel throughout our wanderings a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast, it has stood as the champion of justice, mercy, and peace. Its truths are true for all people.
Its love is a love for all people. Its God is the God of all people. As it has been said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples.
Let all the family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here, and here find life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah,
Amen.
ve'alma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach, la'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal, shmeh dekudisha brichu, leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'meru, amen. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Oh God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, "You cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you." Even so does your goodness pass before us in the realm of nature and in the joys and sorrows of life. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live within our hearts, and we through righteousness behold your presence. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated unless your bat mitzvah is this month. And if so, I would love for you to help lead this. It's on. Max, you ready? She's over there. We're on 88 in this service. She does it from a different place. There we are. You see it? Oh, because your book goes backwards, that's why. We have to give you a frontwards book. Just kidding. Ready? Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu
advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha chayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chatavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
We continue in English. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. I, the Eternal One, have called you to righteousness and taken you by the hand and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
We are Israel, witness to the covenant between God and God's children.
This is the covenant I make with Israel. I will place my Torah in your midst and write it upon your hearts. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
We are Israel. Our Torah forbids the worship of race or nation, possessions or power.
You who worship gods that cannot save you, hear the words of the Eternal One. I am God, there is none else.
We are Israel. Our prophets proclaimed an exalted vision for the world.
Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice well up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream.
We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed.
You shall not oppress your neighbors nor rob them. You shall not stand idle while your neighbor bleeds.
We are Israel, taught to beat swords into plowshares, commanded to pursue peace.
Violence shall no longer be heard in your land, desolation and destruction within your borders. All your children will be taught of your God, and great shall be the peace of your children.
We are Israel, O God, when we are witnesses to your love and messengers of your truth.
You are my witnesses, says the Eternal One, and my servant whom I have chosen. Know me, therefore, and put your trust in me. We are Israel, O God,
when we proclaim you God, our Redeemer, as did our ancestors on the shores of the Red Sea.
V'ne'emar, and it has been said, the Eternal One delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. O God, spread over us your shelter of peace, of quiet and calm, and bless us with rest. And let a time come when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish, a time of happiness, of contentment and rest. We give thanks for the night and its rest, and the promise of peace, that was my cue, for all the world. Let's see how fast I could do this. This hand goes up. We got it. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 93. Tefillah is the section of the service we are about to start. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim, vekoneh hakol, vezocher chaste avot ve'imahot, umevi geula livnei v'nehem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. God of all generations, of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, be praised. Your wondrous creative power fills heaven and earth.
God of life and death, be praised. Through us, send help to the falling, healing to the sick, freedom to the captive. Confirm your faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust.
Awesome and holy God, be praised. With acts of love and truth, we hallow your name. As it is said, all y'all, be holy, for I, your eternal God, am holy.
God of times and seasons, be praised. Enable us through Sabbath rest to explore and learn and impart the meanings of your Torah. Make our hearts ready to serve you this day and all days.
God who answers prayer, be praised. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God.
Source of life and its wonders, be praised. You are the miracle within all we behold. You are goodness, you are compassion. We give thanks to you forever.
We read together below the Hebrew.
God of peace, of justice, and of love, be praised. Inspire us to banish forever hatred, war, and bloodshed.
Help us to establish forever one human family, united in peace. God of peace, bless us with peace. In the Hebrew.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Ki atahu melech adon l'kol ha'shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarich et Amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Tasim La'olam. Tasim.
Take a moment now for the prayers that are in our hearts as we take a moment to pray silently.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be acceptable to you.
Adonai Tzuri,
God my rock,
Tzuri v'goali,
my rock and my redeemer.
Adonai Tzuri,
God my rock, and Redeemer.
So the next prayer that I want to share with you is from the prayer book for Jewish personnel in the Armed Forces of the United States. This was put out by the JWB, which is the Jewish War Board and the Jewish Chaplains Council. It is a kind of a miraculous little book because all denominations of Jews cooperated to create a prayer book together. It is given to all Jewish people serving in the military, the United States military. And there is a prayer here. There are a few that I thought were appropriate, but the one that I wanted to read to you for our Independence Day is the prayer for our country and our military personnel. So before I read, how many of you are either currently serving or are veterans of the United States military? Thank you. Thank you so much for your service. So I know that we have learned the hard way that, not the hard way, we are honored to say that once you have served, we still honor you as being someone who will still protect us and watches over us, and we are grateful to you. I know some of you may be glad to be retired, but we're glad that you are still veterans. And as our friend says, once a Marine, always a Marine, and Semper Fi. So this is for all of you. This is for everyone who is currently serving or has served, every citizen. The prayer says, God of our ancestors, who gives salvation to nations and strength to governments, bless and safeguard our country, the United States of America, and the people who dwell therein. May love and harmony ever be found among the citizens of our land. Implant in the hearts of all the people a steadfast purpose to work as one for the safeguarding of freedom, justice, and peace. Supreme Sovereign of all, protect and help our President, shield, it says him or her, shield him against all sickness and injury. Grant to him and to all the constituted officers of our government such wisdom and understanding that they may lead our nation in justice and righteousness. In their days and hours may Judah be saved and Israel dwell in safety. We beseech you, O God, to shield and protect our armed forces in the air, on sea, and on land. Bless them with victory. May it be your will that the dominion of tyranny and cruelty speedily be brought to an end, and the reign of righteousness be established on earth with liberty and freedom for all of humanity. And we say, Amen. Their words. Appreciate that. And I wanted to share another thought with you about the Jewish role in the independence, about whether, we ask the kids sometimes, is Thanksgiving a Jewish holiday? It's not a Jewish holiday, but there's nothing wrong with us celebrating it, and we incorporate it in, and we can even give you background about why it's connected, and I think the same is very, very true of this important holiday, the independence of our country, celebrating our birthday. By the way, I was struck by this. Do you know how to say the United States of America in Hebrew? So how do you say a covenant in Hebrew? Labrut. How do you say a covenant in Hebrew? It's a brit. In Yiddish, you'd say a bris, but I'm not talking about that. I don't want to make anybody think about that. In Hebrew, it's a brit. In Hebrew, the word for the United States of America are the lands of the Brit, Artzot HaBrit, because America has a constitution, and that is our covenant. What is Israel's constitution? We don't have one, because we have Torah. We have Jewish ethical values and laws. But America has a constitution, which is a covenant that all Americans uphold. There is a woman who I've met who is a veteran. Her name is Ruthie Levy, and she has a few organizations. One is called Oi Toys, which I love. She's got toys for humans and animals. She's got some really cute, I never had to look at this before, but she even has some pretty cute cat toys, I'm not going to lie. A lot more dog toys. And I was a little bit disappointed that I looked up, she has a CD of music for cats, to calm cats. And I clicked on it, and it says, and you may also be interested in, and all of the things it suggested were to doggies. So it's when I was growing up and I was a girl, I loved hearing about how girls were more advanced about this, and they did this sooner, and they did this better, and that was very cool. That's the only part I heard because I was a girl. And then I had to raise sons, and now I say, like, wait a second, and now I listen for only this stuff about guys. I was a dog person, and now we have a cat in the house, or something like a cat. Anyway, I wanted to share what Ruthie sent out about Independence Day. So she has one website called Oi Toys, and she has another one in a bookstore called And Thou Shalt Read, Choosy Books for the Chosen People. So, and I met her through the Institute of Southern Jewish Life. I saw her every single year. In the last 2 years, we haven't been in person, so it's been kind of sad. But she says, so what's Jewish about the 4th of July? Everything. Jews have been participating in the making of American history since the very beginning, when a small group of Jews arrived on a pirate ship from Recife. By the time of the Revolutionary War, there were about 2,500 Jews living in the various colonies. While many fought for the Whigs, some were also loyalists. Do you know what that means? Good. This is a history test. There were even some German Jews who fought as Hessians. Francis Salvador was the first Jew to die in the Revolutionary War, while Chaim Solomon financed the war. That's why there's a Jewish star on the back of your dollar bills. You know that, right? You know about the Jewish star on the back of your dollar bills. Don't take out your dollar bills now, it's Shabbat. But Chaim Solomon financed the war to his own detriment. He died penniless because he gave all his money to the war. Having fought for freedom, the Jews felt that their reward for their contributions was the right to practice Judaism unhindered. And thus was religious freedom born in this country. George Washington welcomed us, while Jews fought on both sides of the Civil War. Jews have contributed to American life through military and governmental service, and even the space program. So let's celebrate the contributions of the contributions of Jews throughout our American history. I'm very proud of that part. The other thing I wanted to share with you were some connections to the Torah portion, which I'll talk about more tomorrow if you join us on Zoom at our Torah study, 9:45. But the thing that strikes me about our country, this country, is how important it is for us to speak up. In the Torah portion, we get to meet a few people who spoke up. Sometimes if you do it out of anger, it didn't work so well. Moses got up and started yelling at people and he struck the rock and wound up, he didn't get to go into the promised land, and that gets mentioned here. But what he does do, which is a very cool thing, is at the end of the Torah portion, he passes the leadership mantle to Joshua. And it's time for Joshua to be able to be the leader. But in the middle of the Torah portion, so it starts off with the end of last week was a kind of an X-rated version of Torah that I'm not going to mention because we have people here who are too young to hear the X-rated versions of Torah. But if you come to Torah study tomorrow, see what I did there? I hope people are coming. But we hear about Pinchas and what his reward was for standing up for what he believed in. But we have the story of Tzalafachad's daughters. There are 5 women who complain. Moses is giving out these laws about who gets to inherit what land. And the 5 daughters who each get names in the Torah, they say, well, what about us? How come we don't get to have any land? Our dad doesn't get to have a say, any kind of a legacy in the promised land. And they ask Moses. And Moses says, I don't know, I'll ask God. And God says, yes, what Tzalafachad's daughters say is correct. They do get to inherit land too. So for standing up, what you believe in, it helps. And that is part of how we got to be the wonderful country that we are right now. So that was my little commercial for tomorrow's Torah portion and a connection with all of these things. The next thing that we get to do today is honor and celebrate everyone with birthdays or anniversaries in July. Who do we have here with a birthday or an anniversary in July? Come on. So we have, come on up. So we have these presents for you. We have these magnificent Mazel Tov mugs that are sitting here. So if you stand here next to the bench, good, thank you very much. Then we will bless you here. I'm sorry, we're still not ready for, you can grab your award, your present here. They're really lovely. They have rubberized dish bottoms and ceramic, and you can take it and, okay, you can take them. But we bless you with this. God of days and years, author of life, our times are in your hand. We thank you for the blessing of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today in special thankfulness to share in the happiness of our friends. Be with them always as the joy of their life. May they be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. May we have the joy of coming together for many more years, united by mutual reverence and love. Then will our lives be filled with abundance of blessing. And we will say the blessing that we say that says, thank you, God, for giving us life, sustaining us, and causing us to reach this special moment. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you very, very much. Take your presents, please, your Mazel Tov presents. At this time in our service, our hearts and our prayers turn to those who are ill or recuperating. And I invite you to turn to the inside back cover. If you have someone for whom you would like us to be saying a prayer of healing or recuperation, we're going to mention that we keep in our hearts. There are, unfortunately, still 128 people who are missing in that collapse of the building that we started to talk about last week. But their families who are waiting and those who lost people. We have, I'm sad to say, in some places in our country right now, in every single state, we have a slight increase of people getting the COVID-19 again and this horrible variant of it. In the world, it's still not gone, so we'll say prayers for those who are in healing for that. We have people who have recently had surgery, people who are about to have surgery. Anyone for whom you would like us to be saying prayers, I invite you to call out their names. Anybody? For all these people, for the people we choose not to call out loud, but to keep cold in our hearts, we pray together. Oh God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. And it has become our tradition to add, on behalf of our military, police, firefighters, EMTs, doctors, nurses, and veterans, Misheberach avotenu ve'imotenu, may the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we've entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom, protecting us, or healing us in this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they've been called to serve. Give them courage to succeed and strength to persevere. May they return home safely, and let us say, Amen. Madam President, would you tell us what's going on in our world? You have to stand up for what you believe in. Trying to tie it all together.
Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov to everyone celebrating birthdays and anniversaries this month, and to everyone, we hope you have a safe and happy Independence Day celebration. Rabbi Jana has an Onyx Shabbat tonight on Zoom. It will begin about 30 minutes after this service ends. Check the website for details about how to join. We will also be on Zoom tomorrow for the 9:45 Torah study
X-rated.
and 11 a.m. Shabbat morning service.
X-rated Torah study, just saying.
Oh, good.
Could be.
This Monday, July 5th, the office will be closed for the observance of Independence Day, extending through the weekend. Remember, the office hours during the summer are from 9 to 12, and we close for Jewish and federal holidays. Next Saturday, Rabbi Jana will be in person and on Zoom for the Kiddush Shabbat, Torah study, and Shabbat morning service. Kiddush Shabbat is a family-friendly Shabbat service from 9 to 9:30. Torah study is a discussion about the Torah portion of the week. The 11 a.m. Shabbat morning service is a casual Shabbat service with a lot of discussion about how to find the meaning in the service. Please use the registration forms on the respective event pages so that you can receive an email with security details about how to join Rabbi Jana, whether in person or online. Mark your calendars for Friday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. when we celebrate with Avery Brannis and her family as she helps lead the service and is called to the Torah in honor of her becoming a bat mitzvah. The service will be followed by an oneg dinner. There are even more details about events and news in your email, one call, and online at the B'nai Zion website. I might also mention that on Wednesday,
I think it's 6 to 7.
July 14th, from 6 to 7:30.
No. Is it next week or this week?
No, it's the 14th.
Okay, thank you.
I looked it up.
Shoot.
There will be a free lecture by Kenneth Hoffman, the executive director of the newly opened Museum of the Southern Jewish Experience, as he relates this important aspect of history in New Orleans and in the South. The Jewish Federation here is planning a trip to the museum with the Jewish communities in Alexandria and Monroe later in the year. There are even, donations were made to B'nai Zion Sisterhood Flower Fund in loving memory of Harry Lipson by Susie Robeson. Y'all have a safe holiday. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to invite up the Brooks family children, well, the whole Brooks family, if I could have them. They are moving away. We have loved them forever and ever now, and they're moving away this summer, and this may be the last Shabbat experience that they'll all be here, this group. One of them is in Israel right now. We turn to page 148. Please rise for the Aleinu when the ark is open. I know, get stuck. Good. Aleinu l'shabech la'adon hakol, latet gedula liyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. When the ark is closed, you may be seated, and we will turn to page 150. It does get stuck. But you're strong. Come here, you mama. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. We continue on page 150. The day will come when all shall turn with trust to you, O God, hearkening to your voice, bearing witness to your truth. Please join me.
We pray with all our hearts. Let violence be gone. Let the day come soon when evil shall give way to goodness, when war shall be forgotten, and all at last shall live in freedom.
O source of life, may we, created in your image, embrace one another in friendship and in joy. Then shall we be one family, and then shall your sovereignty be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one.
Bayom ha'hu, bayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad.
We continue on page 151. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. I am sad to tell you that we have lost 5 people in our military this year. We've lost 159 police officers, 3 from Louisiana. We've lost 10 canine officers. We've lost 52 firefighters, 1 from Louisiana. In the Miami building collapse as of a short while ago, there were 20 that they have found who have died, and 128 were still missing. We have over 3,900,000 people in the world who've died of COVID. I want to also point out that if you hadn't heard the notice, Karen's mom passed away, and Jean Stein passed away. Neither of them have had their funerals yet, so we put them in this part before the section later. The tradition is you don't say Kaddish for someone until after they've been buried. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. I invite you to turn to page 152. It's hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each one of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We recall those whose congregants' parents who died within the past year. We remember Tommy Crowder, Sophie Lipo, Robert Talbert, Joseph Paris, Artis Robison, George Rothkopf, Henry Brenner, Ron Riley, and Fred Phillips. And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. Those for whom we're observing your sites this week include Mrs. Marks Bluestein, Dora Bluestein, Ruben Burakoff, Beulah Marie Notestein Courtney, Orville Dupree, Gertrude Feiner, Gladys Guggenheim, Harry Lipson, Wayne McElvey, Dr. Gerard Emil Posner, Max William Roth, Sam Rubin, Ophi T. Rubin, Eva Silverblatt, Marion D. Sorkin, Mrs. Joseph Paul Stewart Sr., and Rose Van Thyn. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 154. The translation is on 155. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv, v'yamru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה והחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated. And as you can imagine, we have a special treat for you as our closing song.
That you're going to sing with me.
That we're going to sing with you. That's what makes it a treat for Adam.
God bless America,
land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her
through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Sorry. Mom said we were supposed to stand up for it. You're not obligated to stand for that one. And what I normally say, what I used to say, is you're supposed to stand for the closing song only if you're not going to sing. If you can sing and sit down, then that's okay. And everybody would rather sit down. So, but now I'm going to ask you to please rise for our closing benediction. Thank you, Adam. Always a joy and a blessing. Thank you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. Feel it on your face. That's God's light. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up to you because there's a lot that you stand up and deserve to stand up and be proud about, and God likes to lift up God's face to you. May God grant you peace. Shabbat Shalom. And peace to this magnificent land. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So it may be a pinch longer than half an hour before I see you on Oneg Shabbat. I have people I have to say goodbye to here. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you, Ed. I want a hug from this guy.
I know, I'm so proud. Of all weekends, it's like the only one. Yeah.